Greeting everyone, I'm Kevin and today we're talking about my favorite books of 2020. This video is divided into two parts. The first, I'm talking about series, where a full series blew my mind. And the second part is standalones, and this includes books that are one in a series, and that one book blew my mind and the rest of the series is not as much. And it also includes just regular standalones and the first book in a series that I haven't continued yet. So without further ado, the first series is The Hunger Games. I am very late to this party. This was the first trilogy, or the first books I think I read in all of 2020, and I am so happy I did. And it's just, I understand the hype that a lot of people had for a long time. I was in upper secondary school when the Hunger Games movies came out, and I wasn't that big a fan of them, but I decided in early 2020 that, hey, I'm gonna read the Hunger Games because why not? And I fell in love. I love these books and I cannot wait to reread them. The second series that I want to talk to you about is a little bit more controversial, and that is the Shatter Me series, or the first 3 books in the Shatter Me series. I divide the Shatter Me series into 2 trilogies. So the original trilogies, which is Shatter Me, Unravel Me, and Ignite Me, these 3 books. And the second trilogy is the one that was kind of added after these 3 books finished. And those 3 books are not close to these 3 books. So I want to include these 3 books because these are amazing. I love these. I love Juliet as a character. I love the entirety of that underground society and superpowers, and just a lot of things about this I just absolutely adore. And this, just like the Hunger Games, is kind of like dystopian, post-apocalyptic, even though it's mostly dystopian. It's a dystopian set in the future, and I love that for me. The next 2 series that I'm going to talk about are both contemporary romances that include fake dating. So if that is a trope for you, then you will enjoy these 2 series. The first one is the Spencer Cohen series by N.R. Walker. I absolutely adore N.R. Walker's writing, and Spencer and Andrew in this book is just phenomenal. I relate to Spencer Cohen so much. He is Australian. He grew up, born and raised in Australia, but due to his toxic family, he left Australia to start a new life in the US. And there he owns kind of like a business as a fake boyfriend. So he has these customers who contact him and say, hey, could you be my fake boyfriend? I will pay you, and like that, it's his job basically. And so Andrew contacts him and says, I want you to be my fake boyfriend to make my ex jealous. And I think the fake dating part of this series is so well done, and just I relate to Spencer so much as someone with a toxic family, toxic parents, who starts anew in a new place. And he and I both wear tattoos as battle scars, and I think that is it's always amazing to see yourself in books and characters, especially the main lead. And a lot of the struggles that I feel, he feels as well. And Andrew is amazing. So the last series that I want to talk about that was a favorite of mine in 2020 is To All the Boys I Loved Before, the trilogy. And as I said earlier, this is also a contemporary romance that includes fake dating. If you have not seen the movie on Netflix, you should pause this video and check it out because it's amazing. And this is just such a sweet story, and this is so much fun. If you just want a book or a series that you can relax with, slow down, drink a cup of coffee under a blanket, this series is perfect for that. So the first standalone I want to talk to you about is Dreadnought by April Daniels. And this book follows Dani as she unfortunately runs into a dying Dreadnought. the famous superhero of this world, and as he's dying, he transfers his powers to Danny. As Dreadnought transfers his powers to Danny, she gets the body that matches her gender identity. And Danny gets thrown into this whole political aspect of superheroes and the superhero community and stuff like that. And it's a wonderful read, and I love this. I always, as a trans person myself, I think a trans superhero is amazing to have. It's wonderful. And just a trigger warning, this does include transphobia, so be aware of that. Next we have Finders Keepers by N.R. Walker. And this story is so beautiful. It's about this guy who moves into a new town, and on the beach he finds this little raggedy dog who is his fur is very messy, and after a while he finds the owner and they start a kind of texting relationship. So Griffin, who is the guy who found the dog, keeps Dane, the owner, informed about what is happening and what's going on, and he sends cute pictures of himself and the dog to Dane. And then when Dane comes back into town, romance ensues, and it's a beautiful story. And I always love when animals are involved because I love animals. So this is just such a cute story. And Wicked, the name of the dog, he's kind of like a wingman of sorts. Beautiful story, absolutely amazing, super sweet, perfection. Then we have The Final Six by Alexandra Munir. And this book is post-apocalyptic, dystopian, and it does involve kind of like a competition to become one of the Final Six who will take Earth to space. And this is amazing. I absolutely love this, and I think this, if you enjoy the Hunger Games, I think you will enjoy this as well. Even though this competition and this book, The Final Six, it's not a fight to the death as it is in the Hunger Games, but it's a very intriguing book and just a lot of aspects to it. It's really, really great. The next book is The Gift by May Archer. It is the second book in the Love and O'Leary series by May Archer. This book follows an author who moves to O'Leary to kind of escape from everything that has been going on in his regular life and publicity issues and just a lot of things he wanted to escape. So he came to O'Leary, a little small town, and he quickly becomes best friends with the local vet. It's a best friends to lovers small town romance, and it's wonderful. It also includes fake dating. So if I don't have you hooked by now, what is wrong with you? Next we have Goalie Interference by Avon Gale. And this is a hockey romance, and it's also enemies to lovers, or rather rivals to lovers, because the two main characters of this book are both the goalies to their team. So they have to be in constant competition with the other to be the starter of the team. And there's just a lot of drama with that, a lot of intrigue, a lot of wit, and this book is just a beautiful male-male hockey romance with a lot of rivalry, which I love. I'm a very competitive person, so this is just like, also hockey is one of my favorite sports, so amazing. Then we have another hockey romance, another male-male hockey romance. This time it's Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reed. And I'm going to be completely honest, the only reason I picked this book up is because it was available on Scribd and the world was in basically lockdown. It was summer, I had absolutely nothing to do, so I decided, okay, I'm gonna read a lot of the books that are romances on Scribd, so I picked this book up and I'm so happy I did. This is another rivalry to lover kind of thing. This time the two main characters Ilya and Shane, they are competing for rival teams and they go up against each other, and this story also includes scenes from actual games. So hockey is a little more in focus in this book than in the other books in this series. I don't remember the name of the series, but there's a series. This is the second book in the series after Game Changers. Something that I absolutely love about this book is that we followed Ilya and Shane over a long amount of times, I think 10 years. And I love to be able to see the progression of their relationships and discovering themselves and the inner kind of... I really enjoyed that we as readers got to follow these two men for a long amount of time. It made the whole story feel more authentic, feel more natural as it progressed naturally. And it was just a wonderful read. Next is The Husband Gambit by L.A. Witt. I do have a full review of this, so just click on the cards up there if you want to learn more about my thoughts and my review and the rating of this book. This story follows Hayden, who is very broke and is in desperate need of money, and he finds an ad that says, "Pretend to be my boyfriend and you will get over $1 million. And Hayden thinks first that this is a scam, this can't be real, but because he is desperate, he decides, okay, I'm gonna answer this ad, and he meets Jesse. And Jesse's a guy who is from a rich family, and he has a toxic dad, which I love. I don't love it for the characters, I love it for myself. But I love that representation of characters with toxic parents, because I don't see that as much as I would love to, because it's representing me in a lot of ways. But anyways, so Jesse wants a boyfriend, he wants a husband actually. Jesse wants to expose his rich, toxic, homophobic dad for what he is. I think this story is just very sweet, and I love all aspects of it. I love the fact that the dad doesn't get a redemption arc, because unfortunately for me, a lot of toxic parents get redemption arcs because family should conquer all, which is just a middle finger to people like me, honestly. But I love the way the story handles all of that, and just Jesse is such an amazing person. I relate to him so much. I just want to pull him out of the store and hug him. That's kind of how I feel about this book. Then we have Made in London by Clara Lydon, who is one of my absolute favorite female romance authors of all time. She is amazing. And this story follows Heidi, who is a single mother of a young child. I think she's like 3 or 6 years old, somewhere along those lines. And it also follows Eden, who is the daughter of a single mother who is not a very good mom. She's kind of like a toxic mother. So Eden has a lot of issues with her kind of idea of what a single mother is because of her own experiences, and kind of dating this single mother is kind of going against everything that she knows, and she has to come to terms with her own baggage and kind of a lot of stuff like that, a lot of inner conflict, a lot of outer conflict, and it's just a beautiful story, and I relate a lot to Eden and Heidi. And I love the fact that it's a single mother who is part of a romance, because I think we need more single parent romances. Then we have a book that is kind of like a hit or miss in 2020 as far as I have seen, and it is One to Watch by Kate Stayman London, so again with the Londons. So this follows B, who is a fat woman who has a fashion blog, and she is kind of calling out this Bachelor-esque reality TV show called The Main Squeeze. She calls them out for being fatphobic because of lack of diversity in the participants of the show. Everyone is ripped, everyone is skinny, everyone is gorgeous, none of them look like everyday people, and so The Main Squeeze reaches out to V and says, hey, do you want to be the next main squeeze of the show? And she accepts. And I love the reality TV aspect of this book. I love the whole discussion relating to being fat and fat phobia and just a lot of prejudice from people regarding fat people, if that makes sense. I love that discussion. I also love the social media inclusion of this book, like blog posts, Twitter threads, Instagram posts. Like, I love that aspect to it. I think this book is just very well written and a fun read and a very important read as well. Then we have Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This is a book that is kind of enemies/rivals to lovers. It follows Alex, who is the son of the first female president of the US, and his relationship to Henry, a British prince. And the two of them don't get along whatsoever, and they're kind of forced to get along or forced together because of obvious political situations. This is such a fun read. It is a romance, and it's perfect if you enjoy enemies/rivalries to lovers, as well as royalty romances, long distance romances and stuff like that. So this, absolutely recommend. The next is The Roommate Arrangement by Jay, another one of my favorite female romance authors. In this book, we follow this comedian who has to search for a new apartment, and this apartment, she will only get this apartment if she has a roommate. So she is trying to find a roommate, and at the end she finds this security guard for one of her gigs, and they decide to live together in this apartment. And it's such a fun, their relationship is just so, their dynamic is so fun to read, because we have the comedian who is very fun, easygoing, kind of extroverted, and then we have the security guard who is introverted and she's very like reserved. But this is just like such a fun read. Their dynamic is phenomenal, their relationship is phenomenal, and it is a romance, so it's just a beautiful story. They're very like yin yang, opposites attract, and all of that jazz. The next book is Scorpio Hates Virgo by Anita Sunday. This book follows Percy, or Perseus, according to his nemesis, the Virgo, Percy's aunt that he lived with for the past few years after not getting along with his toxic parents and family. So he lived with his aunt, and she is dead. She left him the house, and he's trying to figure out what is he going to do with the house, what is he going to do with his life, trying to figure everything out, and just, yeah, and also dealing with grief on top of this. And he lives in this cul-de-sac, and everyone in this cul-de-sac is just such a tight community and such a fun to read about. He gets kind of thrown into his nemesis, Cal or Callahan's family, as they are trying to help him with his grief and trying to help make everything easier on him. The relationship between Percy and Cal is just amazing. I love their banter. I love all of those things. I think that was very well written, and I relate to Percy so much, and I love Cal so much. He is amazing, and he is obsessed with dinosaurs, which I absolutely love. But this book is just a fun read. It deals with a lot of difficult things, but it is lighthearted and fun. It will make you laugh, it will make you cry, just a lot of perfection. The next book is Secondhand by Heidi Cullinan, and this book is a very sweet romance book. It's best friends to lovers, and it's just a very beautiful story. And this is a book I would not have normally picked up, but I am very happy I did. It was available on Scribd, so I checked it out. It was short and sweet and very a fun ride all in all. The next book is also a book that I found on Scribd, and that is the main reason I read it. And it is Trick Play, the second book in the Fake Boyfriend series by Eden Finley. And this book is just so beautiful. It follows Matt, who was in a scandal because there's a photo on the internet now where he has a guy between his legs. And so he's outed as gay to the entire world, and he is an up-and-coming football player who lost his contract, and now he's trying to find a new team. So in a way to save Matt's image, his agent made a plan to have him be fake boyfriends with a high-profile guy. So Julian is the son of a very rich businessman, and so Julian and Matt set out on a cruise. They do not get along, and their banter is amazing. It's very fun, and they're trying to be comfortable with each other to make it seem as if they're dating and feelings involved, and it's just a very fun book to read. Then we have The Unhoneymooners by my favorite romance duo, Christina Lauren. This book follows Olive, the sister of the bride, and Ethan, the brother of the groom. That is such a weird word, right? There was an incident at the wedding, so the newlyweds cannot go for. There was an incident at the wedding, so the newlyweds can't go on their honeymoon to Maui. So in order for the trip to not go to waste, they send Olive and Ethan to go on this honeymoon and pretend to be married and pretend to be newlyweds and having a honeymoon. It's very funny, and they don't get along at all. They do not like each other at all, but it's forced proximity and kind of fake dating, fake marriage and stuff like that, and it's just such a fun read. And if you, like me, couldn't travel, this is also a very fun thing to read if you want to kind of get in a headspace and pretend you're in the Polynesian islands. Perfect for it. The last book on this list is When the Moon Was Ours by Anna Marie McLemore. This book is a magical realism, which is very evident as one of the protagonists is a girl who was found in a water tower, and she grows flowers from her wrists. And the other main character is Sam, who is a trans guy trying to figure out who he is, what he wants, trying to find his place in everything, and it's the relationship between him and this girl, and it's just a beautiful story. It's very magical and atmospheric and a beautiful story. That was it for my top 20 books, 4 series and 16 standalones of 2020. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please leave a like, a comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't. Good reading! Bye!